Welcome to the COMANDOLIN studio. Working our way through the Alfred Beginning Mandolin book here. We're up to Chapter 4, The Blues. This will be a super fun one, right? Now, we got to vary a little bit how I've been doing this because up till now each lesson has gotten a full video, right? But once it gets to this chapter, like lesson 1 is just a couple paragraphs here. Same thing for lesson 2. The first 3 lessons are on one page here. So I'm just going to combine this. And we're just going to kind of call it a blues intro. And we're going to talk about the 12-bar blues pattern, which is really the foundation of the whole genre. Everything is based off this 12-bar blues pattern and the blues scale, which will be a different lesson. But this pattern is where it all begins. And there are countless variations of the things, and all of them will sound super familiar. But we're going to start with the most basic, fundamental way to go about this, and we're going to look at one variation. Now, the book starts with the variation part. I'm going to start with the most basic part, and then we'll talk variation. And we're going to take a simple little boogie woogie kind of a walking melody, just a couple notes, but it'll be super familiar. And we're going to walk that through this blues progression formula. And you'll just hear it come alive and be bluesy right off the bat. And so, hey, let's just jump right in here. This will be a good one. All right, let's talk about this progression here. Here's what everything is based off of. We're going to need 3 chords. No matter what key we're in, we're going to need 3 chords. We're going to need the 1 chord, we're going to need the 4 chord, and we're going to need the 5 chord. What are we talking about? Super easy, super easy. We're just counting up. Well, the 1 chord is the G, starting on the G. So, I mean, we're a third of the way home right there. Start on the G, 1. Just count up. A, 2, B is 3, C, 4. There's our 4 chord. And then D is 5. If we kept going, E would be 6, F would be 7, and then we'd be back up to the G. But we're only interested in the 1, the 4, and the 5. So G, A, B, C, D, 1, 4, 5. This is what we're going to work with. Now let's plug this in here. Let me give myself maybe a little room on the screen, maybe with any luck, magic of TV, I can bring this up here. And let's just look at this without even writing out chords. Now this is all going to be Roman numerals, and a lot of programs, they put this at the top, but my program puts it at the bottom. So just wherever you see a 1 or a 4 or whatever. But let's look here. So we're going to have 4 bars of the 1 chord. Again, in this case, G. So we would have 4 bars of G. But I'm just going to write out the Roman numerals here. And sometimes that's all you get. And you just plug your own key in. So 4 bars of G. Then we're going to go to 2 bars of the 4 chord, in this case C. So 2 bars of C, back to the 1 chord for 2 bars, back to that G, and then after that we go 1 bar of the 5 chord, 1 bar of the 4 chord, and then land, because it's kind of a stepping down, 5, 4, and then back down to 2 bars of the 1. So again, 4 bars, 1 chord, 2 bars, 4 chord, 2 bars, 1 chord. I know this sounds like a lot, but when you hear this, and then 1 bar of the 5, 1, 4, and 2 of the 1. I don't know if I should have done that last part because that makes it sound really complicated, but it's not. Let's jump right in. Let's look at this basic program, or this basic progression in action. All right, let's take all those numbers and make a little musical sense out of them here. We're going to start this off in the key of G, like we said. And I'm just gonna, for the beginning here, I'm just going to do major chords with a super basic strum pattern. Not even a particularly bluesy strum pattern, and it's still going to sound bluesy just because of the way this thing is built. But on a G chord, each measure, just for this first time to count them out, let's just go 1, we're just downstrokes here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. A little upstroke on the 3 and. 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is down, 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 up, down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's going to be one measure, all right? So taking that pattern, let's plug in the chords and let's walk through the blues 12-bar pattern here. So what we're going to need is 4 bars of this G chord. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now go to the C chord. 1, 2, back to G. 1, 2, D chord. 1, C chord. 2, G. 2 bars. Hear that? This part. So even without a bluesy chord or a bluesy rhythm, you can hear the blues in here. All right, let's make that a lot bluesier, shall we? Instead of major chords, we're going to substitute our most basic, simple boogie woogie walking pattern here. Instantly familiar sounding. That's going to be our G pattern. Open G, 4 on the G, open D, and then 2. So O, 4, O, 2. But each one twice and use alternate picking. So one time up, this is the same as 1 bar, 1 measure of music. So everywhere it says G, everywhere there's a bar of G, we want that pattern. Now everywhere it says C, our 4 chord, we want this pattern, which is 5 on the G, 2 on the D, 5 on the D, and then open A. Notice the fingering, the hand doesn't move, it's all the fingers. So that's our C pattern. And then when it gets to the D chord, here's our D pattern, which is just like the G pattern, but down. Open, 4, open A, and 2 on the A. So literally, you're just memorizing, it's this pattern here, and this pattern here. So that's the same. And then this one here. So you're really only memorizing 2 shapes. So again, 1 chord, G. 4 chord, C. 5 chord, D. All right, sweet. Well, let's walk that through the progression here. So we're going to want 4 bars of that G pattern. So we're going to do that little walk up 4 times. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the C pattern. 1, 2. Back to G. 1, 2. D pattern. 1. C pattern. And back to the G twice. See how bluesy this sounds? Let's do it again. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. C pad 1, 2, G 1, 2, D chord 1, C chord, G chord twice. Nice, huh? Now we're getting bluesier. We're making some hay here. All right, so hey, let's expand now, because that was fun, right? Let's expand on our little riff. You can pretty much hear it in your head. As we're playing this, you know, what we just did was just repeat. But so often, of course, you'll hear it walk its way down. And we're just adding a couple more notes. It's the same pattern we started with. Open G to the 4, open D to the 2. So that's 1 bar, but instead of the next bar being the exact same, the next bar is 3, 2, open, 4. So without doubling, you're just playing this melody, only twice on each note. Now we're getting somewhere, right? So in our 12-bar pattern, we would just go up and down it twice, and that would fill out our 4 bars. So here would be our G. And do it again. Now when it goes to the C chord, that's what we did before. We're just going to add. Again, we're just going to walk it down. 1, 0, 5, 3. So without doubling it, just walking up and down that, but twice. And for the D chord, just like the C or the G chord a while ago, if you were to do the whole pattern, but as it's written out here with only 1 bar, you would just be doing the up. So hey, let's take this pattern and let's run it through the progression here, right? So let's do 4 bars of the G and then 2 bars of the C. Well, you know, I won't say it all out. It's the same pattern as before. So here we go. 4 bars of G. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the C pattern. 1, 2. To the G. 1, 2. D chord. 1. C chord. 2. G chord. So see what happens there when you're walking down from the D to the C? You're only doing half that phrase. Alright, now we're really getting somewhere, huh? That's awesome. So that's a fun, so you got 2 different little boogie woogie kind of walking bass lines we can walk through there. All right, let's talk about something else. All right, let's talk about a super common variation on this basic pattern called the quick change blues. And the reason it's called this, here's a shock, it's because the chords change quicker, at least the first chord change is quicker. And what it is, before we sat on that 1 chord for the first 4 bars, and I guess somewhere along the line, they probably got tired of doing that, especially if it was a slow song or something. Maybe they want to liven it up. So what we're going to do, we're going to change 1 bar of it. And bar number 2 is going to go to the 4 chord. So in this case, bar 2 is our C pattern. So out of our original 4, we got 1, the first bar is the G, the 1 chord. Second bar, the 4 chord, C. And then we go back to that 1 for the last 2 measures. That would have finished off the original 4. So we've changed 1 pattern or 1 measure, everything else in the whole thing exactly the same. So here's what this sounds like. So instead of doing this, instead of doing 4 bars like that, maybe they got tired of that, we're just going to switch out the second bar. So here's bar number 1, bar number 2, which is our 4 chord pattern, our C, bar number 1 again. So without me stopping and talking, here it is. Then everything else exactly the same. Back to the 4 chord, back to the 1, to the 5, to the 4, to the 1. Let's do it again. Here we go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. That was our bars. And here's our C chord. Back to the G. And the D chord. C chord. getting all of a sudden here? So that's our quick change pattern. I'll try it with, I won't do the walking progression. I'll try it with that simple, that really simple basic strum pattern we did at the top here. We'll just go 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's going to be a measure. So let's look at it without all the notes, just as the chords. It would be G, C, G, G. Back to the C for 2 bars, to the G, to the D, the C, G. See how it's exactly the same except for bar 2 is, like I say, bar 2, going to go to that 4 chord. Everything else remains the same. Quick change blues. Great to know both variations of this progression. All right, we're sounding bluesy already, huh? There's lots to chew on in this lesson. Make sure you've got this progression down in your head in both ways, the standard way and the quick change way. And next lesson, we're going to look at some rhythms. Looks like I looked ahead in the book there. Looks like we're going to break down shuffle rhythms and stuff. But this is a fun one. And hey, thanks for tuning in as always. Appreciate everybody being here. Have a great day and see you next time.